In today's gospel, Jesus sends his disciples on their first venture in mission. Missionary journeying is never solitary. It is necessarily a communal endeavor. Jesus gives them his authority over unclean spirits and sends them out in pairs. Jesus gives them very specific instructions about what they are to pack. Nothing. He doesn't say to travel lightly. He insists that they take nothing with them except a walking stick and sandals on their feet, just as the fleeing Israelites did at the Exodus. They are to go with hands open rather than closed around their possessions. This is a totally different model of mission than one in which the persons sent consider themselves to have a whole cache of goods to share with others who have nothing. It's just the reverse. A Christian missionary is to go out needy and vulnerable, so that there can be a mutual exchange of gifts between missionaries and the people to whom they are sent. Missionaries are to put on the clothes of others and eat whatever the local people share, thus becoming one with those whom they share the good news. Sharing the gospel is always a two-way street. The message preached in such an exchange is that of a crucified and risen Christ, who makes apparent that God's power works through vulnerability and mutuality. These kinds of exchanges don't take place in an instant. Jesus instructs his disciples to stay in one home so that the relationship can deepen and grow. It's also a warning not to look around for the best accommodations. A missionary is content to share whatever is offered. Jesus warns his disciples that not all will accept the gospel message. Wherever there is sustained hostility toward them, the disciples are to shake the dust from their feet and move on. Christian missionaries are ready to experience tribulation, but they don't have to go looking for it. A thread runs through all three readings today, that God calls people to participate in the mission. Amos protests that he never belonged to a guild of prophets, nor ever wanted to be a prophet. He was a simple shepherd tending his flock and his sycamore trees when God called him forth to prophesy. The reading from Ephesians highlights that it's by God's choice that believers, both Jews and Gentiles, belong to God and share the good news. In the gospel, it's Jesus who summons the 12 and sends them on mission. Christian missionaries are not self-appointed. The call to mission is part and parcel of every Christian's baptismal call. The 12 symbolize how all of us, people of God, participate in the mission, bringing healing and restoration to any who will welcome a needy bearer of the good news. The disciples had to rely on human goodwill and God's grace. They traveled light, trusting in providence and in no other security. Risky business this is.